Today I'll be shattering SFS speedruns such as building a rocket, getting to orbit, and getting to the moon. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, and let us begin. First, I started with the easy records such as building a rocket. The timer starts when the first part is visible, and the timer ends when you click the launch button. Here is what the current record looks like. The current record is 0.503 seconds, which sounds fast, but I wouldn't be making a video on it if we didn't beat it. And beat it we will. Now, I noticed one thing in the rules, that the timer doesn't start until the first part of the rocket is visible, and while messing around with building a rocket very quickly, I realized it's possible to drag parts onto the build area without it actually showing up on the screen. Normally, when you drag a part onto the build area, you drag it from the list of parts. Now that list of parts is visible only from here to there. But what if I told you it's possible to drag parts from above this visible range? Say for example, I want to grab a fuel tank. All we gotta do is move the position of the fuel tank on the parts list above the menu button. Then from there, we just gotta drag sideways and it moves the fuel tank onto the build scene, but we can't see it because it's above the camera. For the speedrun, we just have to do this with each and every part. When we scroll down so all the parts are visible, we just have to hit the launch button, and that's our final time. With all that being said, here's my final submission video with the speedrun timer. Right now, I'm just dragging all the parts above the camera view. When I get to the engine, I drag the engine onto the screen and click the launch button in 0.1 seconds. This is 5 times faster than the world record, which now puts us in first place. Now let's move on to the orbit record. First, I'll start with the cheats category because I have a really methodical way of doing this. Here is the current world record so far, and there's already some things I'd improve on it. Instead of using a capsule, I'll use a control module, and instead of using the 2x4 fuel tank, I can adapt it using parachutes on the sides to make it 2x1.8 fuel tank. Not only that, I'll transfer all the fuel out of it except 0.01%, so it is as light as humanly possible. Now, in the world record video, they used the Titan engine. However, that was a bit of a mistake, because the Hawk engine actually has a higher TWR, which means faster acceleration, which means lower time. After a little bit of tweaking with these ideas, here is my final design. The capsule is above everything, so I can start the time warp before I start the rocket, and the fuel tanks are there as a replacement from earlier when we used the parachutes. They can simply be destroyed by the 4 separators on the fixture. I've set the rocket at a height of 3,500 kilometers because if I go any higher, the game will register that I've actually made orbit and won't display this text message, which is required to stop the timer at the end of the run. I've already cleared the fuel out of the fuel tank, so without further ado, boom, and we have another record. And that is another first place that I will take. Now, on to the moon. Off the bat, I really didn't have a plan on how to beat this record. However, one improvement from the last record would be to start in space, similar to the previous record when we got to orbit. The second improvement I would make would be to have rockets on both sides of the fixture, so when it hits the moon, you can just reverse back with the other rocket and not have to exit the map view at any point in the run. Finally, here is my design to solve both of those issues. Similar to how we destroyed the separators in the previous run, we're destroying the fuel tanks in this run using the heat from the 8 or so engines on the side. The current record that I just reviewed was clocked at 23.99 seconds, so all we gotta do is beat that. I was trying to cut the previous record time in half, however, I was only able to squeeze 9 seconds out of it, which made my run end up at around 14 seconds. That's all for this video. If you made it this far, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for more.